In the last video, we went over making some details, like right here. In this video, why don't we go through making some weapons, which may be the funnest video for some. Let's start by sketching on the top plane, and I'm going to start by making straight slot features. And as you've seen, making this body, we're using a method where fully constraining isn't the focus. I'm going to make this 0.125. Well, might be a little bit small, 0.25. And we'll see if I can align this. Again, use an arbitrary point, and we'll say 2.65 maybe, 2.7. That appears to be about center. And we'll move this. Let's make that 2 inches. And I like that position on the wing. Again, using an arbitrary edge, which in CAD practices, that's probably not the best, but again, we're not even fully constraining here. We're going to go 1.65. I want to do the same thing with another slot feature. I'm going to choose these two and say horizontal. I'm going to choose this arc and say equal. We'll get a smart dimension going. And we're going to run them. It looks like that leader is just about right. 2.85, 2.87. Looks like it moves it to about the middle of that missile. So we'll imitate that as best we can. We'll go a little longer, 3 inches there. Let's get a construction line going. We'll take this tip here. And that will be a good little mirror point. So we'll highlight those two slots, mirror entities about this line. Okay. And there we have it. So why don't we extrude? We're going to go to offset. I'll say Control 1 to alter my view. We'll go actually offset in the other direction and keep blinding in the right direction there. We're going to about the center of our missiles here, and we're going to say up to body, and we'll choose our body, and they all go right to the bottom of the wings where they should. And there we go. The next thing we'll do, let's start sketching out some weapons here. I'm going to highlight these two faces. Create a reference geometry and a plane, and that plane goes smack in the middle of those faces right where we want to sketch. So create a sketch here, and I can see the edge of my missile. So bring that forward to about there at the tangent line. And we're going to make a little tip. I'm going to assume it's about right there. And I'm going to take my line horizontally back there. We can constrain this if we want to. And this, I think the goal of this would probably be to make sure that our sketch doesn't walk around more than anything. I'll just give that a straight 2. 0.83. We'll go vertical. We'll give this a height over here. We'll give the center line of the missile a height. And we're fully constrained. Now let's go features, revolve, bam! So we've got a missile, and let's see how it compares. Yeah, we're very close to our image, so that's great. Let's go reference, or not reference geometry, but rather mirror. We'll mirror about, I believe it's the right plane, and we can mirror that revolve. You can also save your mirrors till the very end, and that helps to consolidate your history tree if you want to manage your history tree that way. That's a lot fewer items and probably a little bit faster performance. But for the basics of this video, it's easier for me to do it kind of a feature at a time, because it is a lot different recording your screen and explaining it and trying to do the next stuff and think about all that at all the same time. So let's sketch on that plane. And you can see the outline of the next one. It looks kind of like a bomb. And I might just see if I could hide this body, and there I get a much better outline of the bomb. So we'll take this back here, up to about there. And there we seem to be matching the curvature pretty well. Let me bring my body back into view. I'll just right-click on the mirror and show. So we'll add a line here, out to around the front, and boom. All right, looks like that's already coincident on there, so we can go ahead and add in, but I selected too many things here. So we'll go ahead and add in a tangent. We'll add in a smart dimension, and we'll make it quite large, maybe radius of 35, and that will help it flatten it out when I return it to the original state, and that way we know we have clearance under the wing. Let's get back to our side view here. Again, adding dimensions, mostly, oops, I did not mean to exit that sketch though. We'll add dimensions so that we find that the plane won't be walking around on us. We'll give it radius. Let's say that we care about that distance. We'll again choose some arbitrary points because nothing is actually constrained anyway. We'll give that a height. Give that an overall length. And we'll probably want to give this a height here. And now we'll make that vertical. Of course, that became a vertical that we don't want, so I'll Control Z. Oh, and I think I have to undo that. There we go. So, making this line vertical. And that looks like we're right there at the back of the missile. So now we can give it a length. There we go. We'll do a revolve. Features. We'll select this line as our point of revolution. And let's go to the front view. Looks like our missile is a little bit bigger, but it seems to hug the profile pretty well. We'll mirror that. Let's say the right plane there. Fantastic. Next thing, we can pull up an old plane that we've just made. Go back through the history tree. Looks like plane 12 is our ticket. We're going to create a sketch on plane 12. And again, I will, maybe I'll set this to something like glass so that I can see through it, but still reference parts of the body. Your appearances. Let's say glass, clear glass. There we go, and we get a little bit more of a clear view. Maybe I'll even say advanced illumination, and we'll change the transparent amount to 90. There we can see fins a little bit more clearly in the picture. So What we'll do here is right about there. Let's start making a fin on our missile. And I'm not being very precise, but that should do it. You can see it won't be interfering with our wing, although it looks like I've copied the fin off of the different missile, so let's be a little bit more true here to the profile of that image, and that looks probably a bit better. The next thing, if I extrude this, you'll see we'll have a tangent point, and the fin will only touch the wing at one single tangent point. So to remedy that, we'll make this for construction. We'll continue this line here, and heck, I can even use fixed geometry if I like what I'm looking at, and that will simply just speed us up where we're at. Again, I don't normally recommend using fixed geometry, but this is a different project than what I normally do. Come on, I want to control 8 to my sketch, and sometimes SolidWorks seems to forget where my sketch is. Have you ever had that where you push control 8 and it asks you what you want to be normal to, and you're like, hey, I want my sketch? Alright, so we make that collinear. We'll go straight down here. And we'll make this be horizontal. Bring that down. Give it a final dimension here. 0.1 should be plenty. Features. We'll extrude mid-plane. We'll go something like 0.05, maybe 0.025. Nice thin fin there. Excellent. Yep, we stopped just shy of where the missile is mounted, and we can do something like let's go with something. And I can actually change this appearance back so we can see it a little bit better. We'll choose this fin, circular pattern. We'll choose this as the direction, and we've got 4 pre-selected. So there is one. Not very much control surface there. So of course, if we wish to alter, the way to alter fixed geometry is to make sure that everything that you want to alter is in blue, and I want to alter that angle, so that's a bit more like it. You'll notice we'll reduce this distance so we don't interfere with where the missile is mounted, and you can either refix it or leave it be. And rebuild. Here's our fins, and we're not interfering there. Okay, we're going to say that that's pretty good. Now let's go to this plane, sketch, and I may want a section view. And of course, section view is a center sketch. I can move that out a little bit to get the entire idea of missile. And I'll create some more fins. I think this one had the more exaggerated fins. Maybe we'll make something kind of wild looking. It's not bad there. Again, that's a very rough trace. That's just something that you know the profile won't go out when we extrude it. Maybe that's a little bit too tall of a fin though, so we'll reduce that height. Kind of wild, jagged looking. After making this once, I'm right now in the mood to be a bit more creative than I have been. We'll extrude that again. Best practice to fully constrain the sketch, but you get the idea. Let's set the blind to mid-plane. And let's do circular pattern. Our direction, I'll use this circle, and it fills in our fins. There we go. Kind of a wild fin. You know, I might be teaming up with a channel pretty soon called The Science of Flight, and he actually designs missiles. Pretty cool occupation. So you'll probably see some upcoming videos for collaboration in that. At any rate, that looks pretty darn cool. So let's do a mirror. We want to choose the right plane again. We're going to do this feature, and that should just do the extrude. So we'll choose another fin to mirror the pattern, right? Extrude and pattern. And those are the missiles. And from the top, it really looks quite similar to the sketch. I noticed I had some front control surfaces on this missile. Why don't we work on that now? Sketch. I'm going to start maybe right on that tangent point. And let's do some longer control surfaces here. I'm going to go below the base of the missile, as I have. And right there. Actually, better not do that, but better come down here below the missile for the best form after we extrude it. Again, I don't want to spend 3 hours showing you how to make these and spend the whole time just working on the sketch when our body sketches weren't defined because this is a different project. So we'll extrude this profile again to mid-plane. There we go. That actually looks pretty nice sitting in there. Why don't we do a circular pattern? I made it a little bit more extreme than the sketch that we're drawing off of rather. So we'll do this feature. Good. Yeah, that looks like some kind of weapon of war. We'll go with mirror, right plane, and those are the front fins there. Fantastic. Again, I recommend you fully constrain, but you've seen me fully constrain so many sketches already. I'm going to give it a little bit of a rest. I'm going to focus on this now. We'll say that our missile is connected dead center here. Reference geometry, plane, dead center there. So you can multi-body this and subtract a body out of here for a missile to have a cavity to fit in if you want. But I always mention these things like this without any intention of doing them. But then I remember like when I would watch SolidWorks videos and get all frustrated because somebody would say, oh, and you can just do this, and then they don't explain how to do that. So maybe I'll do that just to do it for anyone who doesn't know what I mean by multi-body and subtract. Alright, so we'll do a tangent here. And that looks pretty good. We will go with 8.06, seems fine. That seems like a good length. We'll set the front here. There just to some point so the front doesn't walk around on us. We'll give this a distance so it doesn't walk around on us. And we'll fix a diameter, or in this case a radius. So again, things don't change. And that's probably good for what we're doing. We'll make that vertical. Let's do a revolve. We'll highlight this line, features, revolve. And here's the key for multi-bodies, right? We're going to uncheck this merge result and shabam. You'll notice you have tangent lines right here and everything. There's no hard line there because these are two different bodies that are completely overlapping. When you have multi-bodies, you can do cool stuff like this, right? You can highlight both. Actually, I won't highlight both. I'll just say combine. Up here in the commands, we're going to say subtract. Our main body is here, and we're going to subtract this body from this body. And boom, you have like a little cavity there that can fit a missile. So that's what I mean when I talk about multi-bodies, subtracting one body from another, if you're unfamiliar with what I'm doing. From here, we'll go to the sketch. I'll just show it. And choosing this center line again, I'm going to say revolve, and I'm just going to merge result. So that is essentially by merging, I did nothing because this is the equivalent of it being merged, but if you're doing like an assembly or something, that would be pretty handy. Especially if you're molding like injection molded parts or something where you have a lot of things that fit together just right. It's very effective. Going back to the plane that we've made, our most recent plane, I believe that's plane 14. We're going to create a sketch on that. And let's trace that missile fin. I'm going to go kind of on the outside. About right there. Features, extrude. Let's go mid-plane. We're going 25 thou. Now let's do a circular pattern. This direction. And again, 4 features. Bam! Looks like it's sitting pretty nicely in there. The next thing you'll see, our missile has kind of a fin going down the side. So let's work on that. Again, with plane 14. I'm going to do a real basic rectangle, corner rectangle. Features, extrude, again 25 thou, mid-plane. There you have a little nice surface there. Let's do a pattern on that. Go a direction here. All right, we have a fin that is going straight back in, so we're going to pretend like that's hidden inside of this. You can do this body subtract with that fin, so the fin will fit in nicely or whatnot. For the time on this video, I'm going to click on instances to skip. We'll just click that to get rid of that. And shabam, there we go. Next, why don't we mirror that? Mirror. Right plane. It's captured my circular pattern, but we also want the revolve, the tails of the bomb right there, missile right there. Let's see how that works. Looks like it's captured all of our features. So that should be the weaponry. You can maybe add a spot for a machine gun or something if you want to. But that's it for this video. Hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one where we'll cover some more details, probably the flaps next.